This is the GeekNerdPoly podcast by Geek Alabama. Welcome to episode 2 of GeekNerdPoly, the podcast that I'm just going on, and I've got some good listeners for the episode 1. It's doing okay on SoundCloud, and it's going to take you time to get a fan base built up, but I'm getting there, and yes, the person I was talking about in episode 1 did respond on Twitter. So I got some things corrected on the Geek Alabama site, and we're now ready to move to episode 2, which I'm going to talk about Greece and the Eurozone. I waited till Monday morning to record this because I wanted to see what happened to this whole Greece thing, and it looks like they've struck a deal. And Greece is going to get more bailout money, and you're going to harm the citizens of Greece because they've gone through so much suffering already. And just to stay in the euro, you're going to see more cutbacks, more taxes going up, and it's going to make the lives of people in Greece harder than abandoning the euro and going back to the drachma, the old currency Greece had before they went to the euro. In my opinion, I think Greece are being cowards here, the Greece government. I don't think they should have gone up and tried to do a bailout because they knew what would happen if there would be a bailout. Higher taxes, much higher taxes. People who have worked to earn their pensions would see it cut back so much that they would have to rely on food banks to survive. And government services would be cut back so much that people can't get the basic things done. And is this all worth staying in the euro for? No. I think Greece should have abandoned the euro, they should have gone back to the old currency, and they should have sent a big middle finger to the rest of Europe and the European Union. That's my opinion, but I think Greece got the cowardly way out. And here's the crazy thing, some of these bailout terms are going to be terms that Greece voted no on like a week ago during that special Sunday election. So you Greek citizens, you're being controlled by puppets. We're on a string. The puppets are the people you voted for in the Greek government and the people who lead the European Union, especially Germany. Germany's been the bank of Europe lately because they've had to not only bail out Greece, they've bailed out Portugal, Spain, Italy, and other countries. So we're seeing what's going to happen in Greece is already happening in Portugal, where they've cut back so much that people are not going there. People who relied on the pensions are having to go on the Portuguese version of food stamps or rely on food banks, and people are struggling there. Greece, I mean, did you see what was going on in Portugal and Spain? Because that's what's coming to you now. Your economy's pretty much shot, and maybe it should have taken your economy to collapsing all the way to get things noticed in Europe. Was staying in the euro going to be worth all this? No. I think Greece got the short end of a stick in this deal, and I think Greece are going to be paying for this for decades to come. They're going to pay for government mishappenings and government corruption for the next 10, 20, 40, 30 years down the road because I guess the Greek people don't want to get the balls, literal balls, to vote in the right people who can change things. I mean, that's probably the biggest problem, the biggest thing. You people, and this is not just in Greece, this is here in America too. Y'all have to think about who you're voting for when you go to an election booth. People don't examine the candidates. They don't see what they're for or against. They just vote because of the party lines. And doing that, I tell people never to do that. I wish, here in Alabama, I wish voting straight party ticket, either Republican or Democrat, would be outlawed. And you would have to go for the ballot and mark each person you wanted to vote for. I think that would be a more fairer way to choosing the right people to just allow people to fill in one bubble, get up, put their ballot in the machine, and get that little I voted sticker. But I was talking about here what's going on in Alabama. Let's go back to Greece. The Greeks are they have literally shot themselves in the foot. And by accepting these bailout terms that are it's not finalized yet, something could happen that could force Greeks to go back to another plan like abandoning the euro, which I hope it happens, by the way. Um, the euro currency is something that I don't see why it got started, and I don't see it surviving in the next 20, 30, 40 years because more and more countries are struggling. Only Germany's like the only one that is succeeding in the euro, while everybody else is struggling, especially Italy, Portugal, Spain, and Greece. The reason why every country has their own currency is there's a couple big reasons. For starters, if your economy goes down the toilet, your currency would devalue. So exports would be so cheap that people who are trying to make a living would get a living. Sure, basic prices might go up, especially if things are imported into a country, but for things that are made inside the country, prices wouldn't change very much. And it would encourage more people to make things inside that country. So if Greece had to abandon the euro and go back to the old currency, anything made in Greece would be very cheap in other countries and inside Greece. Unfortunately, anything being imported into Greece, which is a lot of things, there's a lot of things imported into Greece. I mean, from basic food supplies to your medicine to your machinery, would cost an arm and a leg. I mean, a literal arm and a leg. It wouldn't get bad as Zimbabwe, where it costs like $1 million for a loaf of bread, but it would cost a lot of money just to get basic supplies. So there's one reason why having multiple countries in one currency is not a good idea. I think another weird idea about why the euro is the weirdest and stupidest thing out there is each country is different. So when one country is struggling, that country would probably like to cut the interest rates so they can encourage more economic growth. But in the Eurozone, all the countries have to abide by one interest rate. And it doesn't matter what country's doing well, what country's doing poorly, you have to buy that interest rate. So let's say Germany, has a very good economy, they can support a higher interest rate. But Greece, they don't need an interest rate; they need to be at zero. So there's another reason why the euro is such a horrible idea. I mean, you can't manipulate the currency to help grow the economy if the economy is in a recession, which is the problem in Greece. And I think another problem with the euro is the Eurozone and the European Union are trying to bully other countries to adopt the euro. I mean, another country just joined this year, and they're trying to get other countries who are in the European Union to drop their currency and get into the euro. Basically, I think the European Union wants all the member countries to adopt the euro. Even countries who you'll never see happen, like the United Kingdom, which is smart. They've hit the pound because even with this bailout deal with Greece, you got a long way to go to get the euro back to par, and there's still so much troubles ahead. And there's how many more euros can you spend to bail out all these countries who are having trouble because the currency, you can't manipulate the currency and change the currency to encourage growth. I don't know. You just can't keep doing it forever. So I think the euro, and I'm not the only one who thinks this, I think the euro is horrible for Europe. And I was hoping Greece would set an example about why dropping the euro will be the best thing in the world. But now it looks like they've crawled onto the floor in front of the Germany leaders and the European Union leaders and begged for them to stay in the euro, and it looks like they're going to get their wish. I wish it was the other way around, because if one country drops the euro, I think you would start seeing a cascade effect of other countries probably considering to drop the euro too. And Switzerland's smart to keep their currency, the franc. I think the United Kingdom's smart to keep their pound, because I think the citizens saw what would probably happen with the euro. It would crash, it wouldn't work, and I think Europe's best thing to do, because Europe's still in recession, they got a long way to go to recover. I mean, while the United States and China is kind of growing, Europe's still going down the other way. I think it's time for each country to have its own currency again. It's my opinion. So there you go. I hope you liked what I kind of talked about here about the euro and Greece. If you will want to hear more, I'll try to put out a podcast once a week. If you liked what you hear, you can learn more at my website, geekalabama.com. Follow me on Twitter at NVYoung, NVYOUNG, and follow me on Facebook at facebook.com/NVYoung. Thank you for listening. Have a great Geek and Nerd day, and geek out. Thank you for listening to GeekNerdPoly. Learn more about Geek Alabama by visiting geekalabama.com.